Hello, gorgeous humans. Welcome to episode 12 of Emma's Happy List. I'm Emma, and today I've got a beautiful soul ready to bare her heart to all of us. Her name is Shima. She's currently over in Italy, but I'll let her tell you all about what she's up to. So, without further ado, let's dive straight in. Hey, Shima.
Hey, hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm all good. You okay?
Yes, thank you. I'm good.
Good. Thank you so much for coming on to Emma's Happy List and being willing to share some of your story and some of your happiness with everybody else.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's okay. Actually have a confession to make already. I've sort of told a little wee white lie there when you asked me, am I okay? I drank too much rum yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was quite naughty. So, but actually what's really interesting is today it's an important day because today I've actually had to visit my happy list for the intent and purposes that I created my happy list. So,
Okay.
I'll talk to you about that later though, but so before we go into that, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone who's listening and then we'll let everyone know how you and I met.
Yes, great. Okay. So this is Shima, and well, I'm 35 years old. I was born and raised in Iran, and but currently I am living, well, I live in Italy.
Yeah, and can I just say as well, you do not look like you're 35 years old. That is a stretch for anyone's imagination. Just saying.
Really? Oh, great. Thanks. Oh, wow, great. Okay. So yes, I came to Italy in 2012, and I used to live in a small city in northern Italy called Torino. That's where I actually met Emma.
It's hardly a small city, really.
Yeah, you're right.
It's quite a big city, Turin. Good. Well, yeah, sorry, I had to explain for everyone who's not familiar with Italy. You may know Torino as its English name Turin. Yeah, quite a. So actually, what's really interesting about Turin is it's in a little bit of a dip, isn't it? So it gets like quite a lot of rain in comparison to the rest of Italy.
Correct. Yes. Yes. Yeah, and it's very, very cute, very lovely place. And for me, it's the kindest place on the planet.
Yeah. And where are you now?
I am now living in Milan.
And how is that in comparison?
Um, I don't like it.
Yeah, we've had this discussion though. So obviously you moved to Milan literally, what was it, the day of lockdown over in Italy?
Well, it's even worse than that. When I moved to Milan, 2 days later, I was told that my dearest cousin passed away in Paris.
Oh,
So
it's
I
such a
had to go
shame.
to Paris. And then when I came back after a couple of days, there was the lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't leave this tiny little apartment for a good 2 months.
Yeah.
And even when we were out of that very, very strict lockdown, I didn't I didn't really go out.
Yeah. And so how was that? Because obviously I think different places has had various like degrees of lockdown, but obviously being in Italy, it was quite a strong response.
It was no, it was very scary here.
Yeah.
And we actually lived the longest and the hardest quarantine in Europe.
Yeah, because you were in Milan as well, which is where it was all kind of centralized. But in spite of that, have you been able to find little pockets of joy in your time, little, things that, make you feel grateful?
Yes, not easy, but
Hmm.
yes, I experienced a lot of ups and downs during this time.
Hmm.
And I what happened to me was that I had a lot of noticing because I had all of this time
Yeah.
and I didn't have the distractions that I always had to go
Mm.
out to do this and that. So I was there and nothing else. So I had to face things, and I had to actually make sense of what I was going through. And I was going through a lot.
Yeah, and do you know what? That will resonate with so many people. I've had numerous conversations with people who have said exactly the same thing. It's like you can't distract yourself. You can't, go off and do your usual thing. You literally have to sit there and sort of look in the mirror a little bit and, appreciate what's happening. But we'll go into maybe a happy list in a sec. But why don't we tell everyone how we met?
All right, I'm going to tell everyone how I met you and how I got to know you, and
Hmm.
you tell everyone that the same thing about me. How about
Okay.
that?
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Yay! So the first time I saw this girl, she was sitting on a sofa in a school where we were working together, and it was 9 in the morning. I hadn't slept well the night before, and I had a headache, and I saw this pretty little girl with that big smile on her face, and she was like, "Oh, what's your name?" And then I said, "Hi, my name is Shima." And you said, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Okay, that's a very long story. It's not the right time. I'm gonna tell you in the." And then, so that's how we met. That's how I remember. And then we got along very well, and we had a lot of coffee time and a lot of ice cream time together.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, and it was so nice and beautiful. And probably you were the only person on the planet who listened to the stories that I was writing.
Oh,
That
I love your stories. I absolutely adore your stories. So you're a very talented writer, and you should remember that when you want to pursue creative projects and stuff. So let's rewind then for me. I was new in the school. So essentially Shima and I were teaching in an Italian school, but it was a private school. So it wasn't just like traditional school year groups that we think of over here, but it was adults and kids and teenagers and individuals and groups and like you name it, we were teaching it. So we were teaching English. We also had to teach businesses as well. So there's like a varying amount of, which I really enjoyed. I found it really good that it wasn't just like sort of straight and narrow teaching. It was very much, there was a lot going on. And what I loved about Shima is the fact that I wasn't very talented. I didn't have enough patience for the kids, but you literally have the patience of an absolute saint. Like these kids drove me up the wall and like you were just it was like you were like fairy godmother of the children. Like they would just follow you around and listen to every single word you said. Um yeah, so I just remember you being just like the absolute queen of the children, and I was like, oh my gosh, give me the adults and the teenagers. I need I need space here.
I'm good with kids, but I'm not good with teenagers.
See, I can get along with teenagers. I can put a smile on their face quite easily. So yeah, we bounced off each other quite well in that respect, didn't we? We were very sort of yin and yang in terms of our teaching styles and stuff. And yeah, I just remember there was just this time. So towards the end of my time in Turin, I was going through a very like difficult time, and you were just like the kindest human, the kindest human, and I will always be grateful to you for sort of literally just like you fed me, you listened to me moan, you like gave me tissues when I was crying, you just literally gave me the support that I was sort of lacking because I was in a different country from like my support network, like your family and stuff. So yeah, you became my family in that sense, I would say.
Oh, great, sweet. Thanks.
That's all
Thanks,
right.
thanks for saying that.
All
In fact, I
true.
was thinking about it, Emma. I was thinking about it that why why you were there in Torino.
Hmm.
You weren't going through the best time of your life, definitely. That
True.
was very hard, and but I was always impressed by how put together you were, and I knew that you were all by yourself, and you were going through a lot, but you always had a smile on your face. You were never grumpy, and it was impressingly beautiful the way you carried yourself on that time. And I was always thinking, oh my God, this girl is perfect. And then, but then you left Italy, and I remember the last time we met, we had a walk and we talked, and again we had another ice cream.
Yes,
And
we did. And an Aperol spritz, I think, wasn't it?
yes, yes. And then you left and you had an experience. Well, you experienced a very different life in New Zealand, and when you came back, I think it was after a year and a half that you
Yeah,
came back, and um, we met. We didn't have ice cream. We had wine,
we did.
and and then you were a different person. Your energy was different. The way you talked was different. You talked about different things, and I could really feel how well you have gone through that difficult time and how well you have come out of it and how much you have learned, and it was absolutely beautiful for me to see that.
Oh, that's so kind. Thank you. You're going to make me cry. Stop it. Stop it immediately. Let's talk about things. Right. So, happy list then. Did you have a happy list before like before I must have shown you my happy list when I came home. Did I?
No.
I didn't. Okay. I would have had it on me, but did you have one before you started listening to the podcasts, or have you started one since? Or what's the situ?
Okay, the situ is that I never had a happy list,
Mm-hmm.
um, but something that I sometimes did was that I wrote down my happy moments before I went to bed.
Nice.
Yeah.
And are you willing to share something today?
Um, about my happy list,
Yeah.
freedom.
Yeah. Oh, that must be like a huge one at the moment as well, just having that realization of how much, well, I certainly take it for granted. I don't know about you, but it's only when it's sort of taken away you realize how much freedoms you have, not only with like your movements and stuff, but with how what you can talk about and all of this sort of thing.
Yes, exactly. And well, freedom, independence, the ability to make a decision, and because I've been deprived of these basic things for 3 months now,
Yeah.
and then I realized the importance of these very, very tiny little decisions on a daily basis, and how effective these decisions were on my well-being.
Yeah.
And
What's your example of that? Can you think of an example that someone might be able to sort of resonate with that's listening?
okay, so when I found myself um, locked inside my apartment, I realized that I wanted to go out and choose a bar, walk into that bar, and have my favorite coffee and walk out. Something easy, something simple, not a very big thing.
Yeah, do you know what? I absolutely love doing that as well. I just love when you just wake up and you can be like, oh, I really fancy a lovely coffee. So
Yeah,
like, and it's extra special, isn't it, when it's made by somebody else and it's made like professionally. It's so, and obviously Italian coffee is something else.
yeah. And there is always an Italian barman that
Yeah.
definitely flirts with you at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Let's not talk about Italians right now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You are right though. They live up to their name. They know how to schmooze their customers into having another coffee or another brioche or whatever the case may be.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So if you were to start your own happiness, then you think independence and freedom would sort of be a very key one, like exercising that right to, do whatever the hell you
exactly.
want
And
to.
all that comes with it, all those tiny decisions that actually freedom entails.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you like let's take this one step further then, with like freedom and independence. So if money were no object, if like family and social constraints and everything were irrelevant, and you literally had the freedom to do whatever you wanted, not just on this planet but in the universe, what would you do with that freedom?
Without freedom,
No, with that freedom.
with that freedom. Okay, right now.
Yeah, right now.
All right. Can I take you with me?
Yeah, of course you can. You can do whatever you want. No rules apply.
So I would take you, and I would take Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you and Nelson Mandela, and we would go to Hawaii,
Oh, nice destination. I'm keen.
having a drink inside a coconut,
Oh,
being under the blue skies.
yeah, that sounds delightful. I would choose a pina colada, in which case, get me one ready. If I pose this question to myself, and like if there was no danger involved as well, so like obviously fear holds back a lot of people from doing a lot of things, but I'm currently going through a phase in my life where I'm just obsessed with like the universe and like this and space and astrophysics and lots of stuff like this. So I would probably go and plonk myself up on the moon for a bit and just have a little gander up at the moon. Like I've not even seen half of like our own planet yet. I mean, I've seen a lot of the planet, but not nearly enough. But I don't know. At the moment, I'm quite curious to see the planet from a different perspective. So you're welcome to join me for a pina colada on the moon if you wish.
All right.
How does that sound?
Sweet.
And then I think in
It's high
general,
on the moon.
yes, I think in general, so if these rules applied for my entire life, um I think everyone who knows me knows what I would do. I would literally just go traveling and snowboarding around the world, and yeah, trying to sort of experience and integrate myself with as many cultures and languages and people and experiences as I possibly could, because like what could be more fulfilling than that? Just having a gigantic bucket list and working your way through it.
Exactly. Well, I have a very strange background. I have a very strange family too. We have in my family there are different different countries involved,
Hmm.
different religions are involved, and basically each one of us lives in a different country. And so I find it absolutely rewarding to go and see how other people are living and what makes them happy, and then compare it with what you have and what makes you happy. And for me it's like it gives me a new pair of eyes to
Yeah, new
do this.
perspective.
Yeah.
Well, how do you find that though, Shima, with your family sort of scattered around the place? Like, obviously, some people rely on their support networks, like their families, and they rely on having them super close.
Mm.
Whereas other people, like yourself, you're accustomed to sort of having people in different places. How is that when say for example you do just want a little chat with someone who knows you quite well and that sort of
Mm.
thing? How does that go for you?
Well, well, I hardly ever pay for hotels, so that's
Bonus.
yes. The sheer fact of actually spending time traveling to go somewhere and see someone,
Hmm.
or when you see someone caring to come to you, driving 1,000 kilometers to come to you, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And yes, but then on the other hand, the last time we all had a picture in which all of us were present was 10 years ago.
Wow, that sounds like you need a reunion. Reunion on the cards, a decade reunion.
Yes, exactly. And it's not always possible because, well, my mom and my dad are in Iran, and well, at the moment, I don't think they can travel. Um,
Do you know what though as well? So I remember having a conversation with you. So Iran had never really been on my radar. I was very much like stereotypically concerned with like Asia and New Zealand and all those types of places. Whereas like Middle Eastern countries, Persian sort of descendants, that sort of part of the world had kind of passed me by, I guess, until I met you. And you sold it to me. You were like, oh my gosh, no, you need to see the mountains, you need to see the colors. So I'm just going to give you the opportunity now to explain to those people who are listening what Iran is actually like, from an insider's perspective.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for giving me this chance. Well, Iran. Well, it's quite sad what's happening in Iran. It's very sad what's happening in Iran because what is projected through social media or mass media is that it's a horrible, dangerous, scary place to go to.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go there and you'll see that people are doing absolutely the same thing that other people are doing in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So you go there and it's absolutely different from what you expected it to be. I am from the capital city, Tehran. So my city is all about highways, traffic, nightlife, and dressing up, going out, having fun.
Yeah, like a normal city.
Absolutely. Well, the best parties I've ever been to, they have all been in Tehran, in Iran.
Yeah.
And everything is the same. It's except that you do everything in a different way, because what you feel is different from what the government is imposing on you. So you will find a way to do what you want to do
in typical human fashion.
Yeah, and that makes it even better.
Yeah, for
You know
sure.
what I mean? Yeah.
So if that's the city, then what's the countryside?
And then you go to the countryside. We've got deserts, and deserts are beautiful, breathtaking, really. And we've got northern part of Iran. There is this area which is stuck between the mountains and the Caspian Sea.
Yeah.
And that place is the greenest, the most beautiful place you ever see. And the only place that reminds me of the northern part of Iran is Switzerland.
Okay.
Switzerland, yes, because you see the mountains, you see the little sea or the lake, and yes, and then so you've got jungles, you've got forests, you've got traffic, you've got pollution, and then you've got deserts.
Yeah.
Then there are then there are the most beautiful historic sites you could ever imagine.
Yeah, literally. So this is what I meant by the misconceptions of Iran, and just having someone to put them straight is just so refreshing, because without your voice right now, like, most people wouldn't even be aware of that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really cool.
So, well, you must have heard something about Persian Greek War.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you travel to Iran, you get to see where those Persians actually lived.
That's incredible.
And when Alexander the Great invaded Persia and set Persepolis on fire, you could go and see the remains of Persepolis.
Amazing. And I'm
And
well
then,
into my history as well, so that type of thing would really be right up my alley.
yes. And then one of the oldest religions in the world, which is called Zoroastrianism. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it well, but people who worshipped fire. And you could go to there is that city in the middle of Iran called Yazd, and over there you can see a fire that has been on for more than 1,000 years.
Whoa.
Because they basically worship that fire, and those people are beautiful. Yeah,
that's
they've got
so
one of the
cool.
oldest and one of the most beautiful religions. So you see those people, and then well, for any Iranian literature, our literature and our history is very important.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for reminding me again why I need to get there, especially for a party in Tehran. Although like I said earlier, I did have a little bit too much to drink yesterday. And I think this is an equally important issue to discuss, though, because we've spoken a lot about like contrast. So we've not really said it in those words, but it's really important, I feel, to experience these times of things not going the way we expect them to, or things sort of just not living up to our expectations, because that does provide us a contrast within our life, and it does sort of let us have a look at that and be like, oh, I didn't like this because this, and this. And therefore, what I do like is when I experience this, and this. For example, you're like, I don't like being locked down because it takes away my freedom to go to have a coffee at my favorite bar. Therefore, I really enjoy going to a coffee bar and having a coffee and maybe be like flirting with an Italian waiter or whatever. So, with that in mind, then, so I've actually added a new item to my happy list because yesterday the reason I had too much to drink was because me and my friends from university decided that enough was enough. We'd been long enough without going out together, so we did a Zoom call.
Mhm.
And what we typically, so around this time of year, typically we go away in a caravan in the middle of nowhere. Okay, and yeah, and no, but it's not a nice holiday, it's carnage. It's literally like drinking for I think 5 days straight or something like that, however long we go for. Yeah, it's not great. Actually in the last one I was surprised I survived, last year's one, yeah. But anyway, we decided that we would do a Zoom call where we all got together and we found a game. So have you ever played Cards Against Humanity?
No.
It's quite an obscene game. It's very obscene. We'll have to play it one day. But we found an online version of that, and honestly, like we started drinking quite early, and we laughed for about 8 hours straight, I swear. And it's the kind of thing. So what I realize and what I'm putting on my happy list is, regardless of where we are and what we're doing, just spending time with those people that know you best and that you can absolutely rinse and like rip to pieces because you know each other so well, depending on what you're doing. It's just like one of the funnest things, but it comes with a little caveat for me because what I've realized is that drinking the following day, I have to sacrifice a day where I don't feel like myself. I don't
Mm.
feel my usual energy. I actually have to go to my happy list and pick something to do. So today I decided to have a really long shower and then I decided to meditate to try and accept today I don't feel my best.
Oh, poor thing.
Which is very difficult for someone who, like me, who doesn't relax very well. I'm not a very good relaxer. I
Right.
like to have the energy to do things and get stuff done.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I had a meltdown on Friday morning.
Right.
Um, so I found myself, well, I found myself in a horrible situation
Hmm.
physically. And what I did was that I left a voicemail to my colleague telling her that, hey, listen, there is no way I can work today. I'm feeling like this, and no, I can't work. And she heard the voicemail and she called an ambulance to come over to my home.
Oh gosh.
Um, and so I was feeling absolutely like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And somebody rang and I opened the door and I saw this man. Because of coronavirus, they are dressed in a white uniform and
Okay.
a big mask.
Like
And
hazmat suits type of thing.
yes, and I really didn't understand what was going on. So he came in and he asked me some questions and I answered. And well, he told me that I had to relax a little bit, and he injected a very, very strong tranquilizer.
Oh my goodness.
And I was absolutely high. And while I was high, my boss, number one in Italy, called me and I had a conversation with him, but I had no idea what I told him.
Oh gosh.
So the last person on the planet that you want to talk to when you're high
Yeah, 100%.
is the man who employed you 6 months ago.
And what was the like? How did you get out of it? Is everything okay now?
Yeah, everything is fine. But the following day, I mean, it was Saturday, he called me again and he was like, how are you doing? How are you feeling today? And I said, I'm all right, but I really need to know what I told you yesterday.
Put me out of my misery immediately.
For
What did he
20
say?
minutes.
Was it
Well,
bad?
no, or either he was being nice and he didn't tell me the horrible stuff, but or I didn't say anything bad. So basically, I told him everything about my family and the fact that I want to get the fuck out of here and go back to Iran.
Oh, oh. Is
Yes.
that true? Is there truth to that?
Well, if that's how I was feeling while I was high, it should be probably true.
It's true on some dimensions, in some
Yes.
levels. Well,
Yes.
it's been an absolute pleasure to catch up with you. But how, if people want to find out more about you and if people want to sort of see what you're up to and maybe have a little stalk through your Instagram and stuff, where can they find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram and I'm also on Facebook. Um, but I'm more active on Instagram. And my name is Shima Gandhi.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'll post your handle in the little description. Yeah, so it's been such a delight, and hopefully everyone who's listening will have something to take away from this, whether it be, contrast makes the like good times even better, or to appreciate the independence and freedoms that we experience every single day. But regardless, it's been a lovely chat, and we will definitely catch up soon.
sure, sweet. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you for
Shima.
having me.
Take
Great.
care.
You too, darling. Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye, darling. Bye.